Hello again, Maple. Well, let's see how Al is going to get himself out of this. He's just getting in deeper and deeper, isn't he? So here we go. Chapter 45. I take a deep breath. This is going to have to work. We've just moved here. My mum told me to look out for an Indian kid called Pai Chaudhry. She must know your mum or something. There's not that many of us, so I just guessed. Even as I say it sounds brilliantly plausible, especially since I know that Pie's mum, my grandma Julie, died years ago. It's like a double bluff, and I'm so pleased with myself that I extend it a bit. Mums always know each other, don't they? I laugh, but the laugh hangs in the air a bit hollow, and immediately I feel rotten for having, one, used the death of Pie's mum to create a better lie, and two, made Pie think about his dead mum. He lets it go though and says, "Where do you live then?" I choose somewhere far enough away to be safe. Monk's Eaton Village, the new estate. No sooner are the words out of my mouth than I realise what I have said. New estate? I didn't know there was one. Oh, well, it's quite well hidden. It's really small. You'd hardly know it was there. Where do you live? Sandview Avenue. He gives that little nod. As you come into town. We both get up and dust some of the sand off our pants. When I lift my hand to pat some of the sand off Pie's back, he flinches. Then he smiles and lets me do it. With his back to me, I notice his shoulders trembling and shaking like he's crying. Hey, I said I was sorry, I say as I move round to face him. And that's when I see he's not crying, but he's laughing. Just a quiet laugh with that little exhalation through his nose, but laughing nonetheless. What's funny? I say, starting to laugh myself. Dunno, he says, still chuckling. You, me, us, wrestling on the sand? I start to laugh myself. I think for both of us it's a relief in Pie's case that I'm not going to beat him up, and in mine because I've not screwed up my plan by letting Pie get away. For a moment we just stand there, looking at each other and laughing. Come on, I say, let's sort this cat out. We're heading up the alleyway back to Chesterton Road and Mr. Fraser's house, and Pie starts acting really strange and is almost hiding behind me in the box as we approach the street. What's up with you? I ask. Nothing. It's just no. Well, it's just that's Macca's house, and I don't want to see him. He's nodding in the direction of number 40, my old house. That's his house. Pie nods. I remember what Mum said once about the people they bought the house from. Rough, bit mad. Is his name McFadden? Again, Pie nods. Have you heard of them? Just a bit. Great, I think, remembering Macca's rant about the cat. Alan Shearer's in a drawer in the bunker under a psychopath's house. Mr. Fraser's house is the same as all of the others, except on the wall next to his front door is a rectangle of polished brass, and engraved on it it says Duncan P. Fraser, MRCVS. I don't know what that means, but it's something medical, obviously. He answers the door himself and looks at me standing there. Oh, hello, laddie. See, you've brought your twin brother with you. What is it? You want to know the date again? Pie looks at me, baffled. By way of answering, I open the lid of the box, and taking one look at the cat, Mr. Fraser ushers us through the empty waiting room, which is his front room converted, and into the surgery, which is his back room converted. So far he has hardly said a word. The surgery is clean-smelling, painted in a nice light blue and white, and there are glass-fronted cupboards all around, filled with books and packets of medicine and lots of vet's equipment. He asks us to stand to one side, then he gently lifts the cat out of the box and onto a marble-top bench in the middle of the room. He stoops closer and looks at the cat. He runs his hand gently over the cat's sticky wet fur, and the poor cat barely flinches. We found it on the beach. Some big kids were running away, I say. Mr. Fraser shakes his head wearily. as he fills a syringe and injects something into the cat. He then smiles at us. Well done, lads. I'll tell you the truth. There's no guarantee that this cat's going to survive, but I'll do my best and clean the wounds and stitch her up and give her some antibiotics. Do you want to watch? Awesome! That's me. Not really. That's Pie. I think he's feeling too guilty about his involvement to take any pleasure from seeing a real life-saving operation. So we just sit in the waiting room. Pie has gone a bit quiet, so I ask him the universal kids-making polite conversation question. What school do you go to? He smiles. Culvercott Secondary Modern. You'll probably be going to Monk's Eaton High if that's where you live, unless you're at the Royal Grammar. I say, Monk's Eaton High, I think. It sounds okay. You've got more computers than us. We can use the computers in the technical lab, though. They're ace. They're new this term. There's 6 of them. Really? 6 computers in the whole school? Well, 7 if you include the one in Miss Spectro's office. Pretty neat, eh? There's a Commodore, 2 Sinclair Spectrums, which are great because you can get these games that are just ace. And Mr. Melling lets me into the tech lab at lunchtime. And I've been practicing how to link them all up with a motherboard to make a supercomputer. He's chatting away quite happily, and I'm drifting off, wondering how I'm going to get back to my own world when Pie says, "Oh my gosh!" There's a glass cabinet opposite, and he is gulping at our reflection like an idiot. Look! Look at us! Just look at us! It's incredible! I see what has astonished him. It is like looking at a picture of identical twins. Pie's skin is very slightly darker than mine, but other than that, barely any difference at all. He looks at the reflection for a while, and he keeps murmuring, "Wow, wow," under his breath. Then I hear steps in the hallway outside. The door opens and Mr. Fraser's standing in the doorway, but I can't tell from his face whether it's good news or bad. I just have to wait for him to speak. She was in a very bad way, he starts, and I'm sure he's going to tell us the cat has died. I've done everything I can. Pie and I are staring at each other and then staring at the vet, expectantly. Eventually, a tiny half smile appears. I can't guarantee it, lads, but I think she's going to pull through. Come and see. Back in the surgery, Mr. Fraser takes us over to a large cage on the floor where the cat is lying on a clean folded blanket, perfectly still. Only the tiniest movement of her chest reveals she is breathing. Parts of her fur have been shaved off, and there are dressings on her side and one back leg. I see Pie swallow hard. Oh, what will happen to her? He says. Ah, well, I'll make a few inquiries. She had a collar on, and I don't think she was a stray, so I dare say I'll be able to trace her owner. Bound to be someone local. I'll make sure they know about your kindness. He walks with us to the front door and says, "Ah, I don't suppose you have any idea at all who these older boys were, do you? Only this sort of thing can't be allowed, can it?" We shake our heads, answering both of Mr. Fraser's questions at once. I'm aware that I haven't said a word since the vet came into the waiting room. "Thank you," I say at last, as he's shutting the door. "No, laddie, thank you. That's a grand thing you and your brother have done." We're on the path leading to the front door when I look across at Pie, and his mouth is turned up in a perfect curve of happiness. The whole afternoon has been pretty intense, and for a second I think he's going to cry. I can feel my own chin starting the first tremors of a wobble as well. So I turn to him and start to embrace him in a kind of bro hug. But if the other person's not ready for you to do that, and Pie certainly isn't, then it can go a bit wrong, as it certainly does now. Pie moves back warily and eases himself from me. I remember Grandpa Byron telling me that men didn't hug much in the olden days anyway, and I'm hardly well practised myself, as I think I've said before. Americans, close relatives, and other people were the only men allowed to hug until the Male Embracing Act was passed by Parliament in 1995, he told me one day with a straight face. And do you know what? I believed him for a while. So Pi and I are both feeling a bit awkward when there's a shout from the distance. Oi! Ciao! At the other end of the street it's Macca, and he's coming in our direction. I'd better go, I say. The thought of Grandpa Byron sitting in the cafe where I'd left him has rushed into my head, and I've got to go, even though I don't want to leave Pi. No, don't. I don't want to see him either. But I've made up my mind. Before I turn to go, though, I fix Pi with a gaze. Same time tomorrow, same place? Pi gives a big grin and nods before turning and waiting for Macca, even though he doesn't want to meet him. Well, that was an interesting chapter, wasn't it? I'm so glad that the cat's going to pull through. So we'll leave it there for now, and I will catch up with you again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, or whatever it's going to be. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.